You send him 41,000 emails, 350 voice messages, 744 tweets, 48 Facebook messages, and 100.
This is a July edition. I've just made a video, it's for the June edition. But I've been making these monthly, so I'll carry on with July 2025, and the problem still persists. Critical condition. No difference whatsoever. My jaw's completely wide shut behind me communicating now. So as I'm communicating now, my jaw's completely wide shut. They've stripped out all my power over my own life and internalised it. It's a physical process. It's physical control. It's the most ground level, ghetto, trampy, criminal thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen anything as bad in my entire life for systematic control or control over offenders or potentially mentally ill. And I've never seen it as bad in my life for how blatantly obvious it is for people with bad genetics. You haven't got anybody whatsoever that's a professional or of a higher professional that have got the jaw completely wired shut or encapsulated. So basically it's a crime against humanity. A crime against humanity is labelled as a systematic attack against a select group of people. And the fact of the matter is the reoccurring similarities between deaths and people in a controlled state is near enough positively 100%. So the genetic cleansing using institutionalization and control is one of the worst crimes against humanity the world's ever seen. No doubts whatsoever. And this is obviously what's manifested from that. This is what stemmed from that. Somebody's sat here now hunger striking continually since 2016 because of officers using a prison sentence to internalise the life and strip out the life every day. All I'm subject to up to 3,000 times a day is internal transgressions and internal accusations or internal humiliation and degrading in mortification of self to strip out the self. So the officers have manipulated the power within the system to create a human punch bag, whereby up to 3,000 times a day they commit crime against my power, afflicting crippling, degrading, and strip out the self. It's called mortification of self. Internally, 3,000 times a day, afflicting high-risk crippling crime, whereby they convict me of crimes internally, they relativise what they want. It's called mortification of self, where they bombard or make somebody question the power over their own life and strip it out. And they've been doing it for that long now, up to 3,000 times a day. They've stripped out my entire life. You can feel the amount of pressure on my internal organs now is vast. The amount of pressure on my internal, I can't sleep. They've physically restrained my breathing, physically restrained my ability to sleep, physically restrained my sex drives until my penis has shrunk. And when I get erect, I've probably lost 2 or 3 inches off my penis size because they've internalised my sexual power. That means they're going into people's biological and physical constructs of the human being and manipulating it to get sadistic power out of it. So when I'm getting erect and getting sexually aroused, I've lost up to 2, maybe even 3 inches off the erection size because they've snagged or internalised the power. So this is not just some mental incapability. The fact that they've internalised my breathing and I'm struggling to breathe makes it blatantly obvious to me that there needs to be some more laws in place as to what these officers or what the system's doing with somebody's power internalised, because they're committing worse crimes, and as I said in other videos, they're committing more crimes against me than what goes through my local courtroom in a week. So in one day, I'm victim of more crime internally and as in mortification of self than what goes through my local Crown Court that week. The fact that they're internalising people's power to get erections or sexually aroused, the fact they're internalising people's ability to breathe or sleep, and they're getting full immunity or they're granted full immunity and they've got full entitlement to do it on the basis they can cover it up as mental illness or external factors, so put it down to caffeine, or they'll put it down to drug use usually, or alcohol. In other words, they're giving that many reasons or alibis or justification for it. They can almost do what they want. They can internalise your sex drive or sex power so that you can't have sex, but it's not going in the system. Like now, I'm sat here at 32-year-old. There's no chance whatsoever I will ever have a girlfriend or ever have sex of any kind ever again because their officers committing crippling humiliation and stripping out my power internally. It's not possible because they've stripped out my sex power internally going into an institutional self with nothing, like based off nothing. So they've done it themselves and they'll blame it on mental illness or other. So they've got full entitlement and full immunity to commit crime against somebody and just rationalise it in the system however they want. But I'm not support. People don't know this in society. So they don't know that that's officers or the system committing crime against them and using alibis in the system to cover it up as mentally ill or whatever. They'll put it down to a cold. They'll put it in the system down as a flu or some kind of hay fever. They'll put it down to the most trivial, humiliate. They're just making a mockery of the system. They'll strip somebody's entire sex drives out and put it down to hay fever or problems with changing of the seasons or put it down to caffeine problems or just put it down to age difference. Well, as they're getting old, they literally get granted full immunity to commit crime against somebody and rationalise it or justify it in the system with the most trivial bullshit reasons you've ever heard anybody would ever hear. It's just making a joke at the system. Either way, they've internalised all my sex drives and all my sex power, and there's no way at 32-year-old that anybody should have any restrictions on the sex drives or sex power whatsoever. So, critical condition, got very limited lust, sexual lust or intimate lust, very limited, if any, sex drive whatsoever. Yeah, they can get erect and stuff. Yeah, you've still got interest in women, but you've got no capabilities of acting on it, no interest in it, no feelings of intimacy, no love, no sexual tension. That's the big one. You've got no sexual tension or sexual drive. You basically know what, you've got very limited recognition of what it is, but no feelings whatsoever and no quality of life whatsoever. They'll put this down as to me getting older, but the simple fact is I remember when they stripped it out and there's no way whatsoever it's a biological factor. I'm going to summarise what I'm saying. There needs to be more regulation on what these officers and what the system's doing in institutional self because they're doing what they want. They've got full entitlement to somebody's life or apparently somebody's power, and they can just strip out what they want, the sex drives or their ability to think for themselves, and they don't want to account for it when people need justice like me. Critical condition. Internal breaking session still continues. It's now July 2025 and this has gone on every minute or every day since August 2016. So it's nearly 9 years. Critical condition problem still continues.